Do you think Polish parents are always there for their children?
No.
Really?
It wasn't even a second of thinking. I'm sorry.
What?
Nah.
So expansion, tell us about that.
Completely not. Completely not. We are completely not educated emotionally to be in this way available.
Nigerian parents now, they're very shy. They're very shy.
But with kids or in general?
With kids, to be honest, right? Every Nigerian kid fears their dad the most. Yes. So
why?
Is that because African dad are more strict than their mom?
Okay. Do fathers in Nigeria telling their kids that they are loving them?
Of course.
Because somehow I feel
we tell the kids more than the women.
Oh.
Yeah. You can be a good parent and your partner might not be a good one.
Exactly.
Right. And vice versa.
And what then? Right.
The kids always suffer for it.
Hi guys, welcome on the Routes of Roots podcast. That's our first episode. My name is Paulina and this is...
My name is Abisola, aka Bakot of Poland.
And here we will be talking about routes, like roads and roots, of parenting, about childhood across the cultures and across the differences around the globe, right?
That's right. So basically, we all have different experiences when it comes to parenting across cultures. Like, for example, she's Polish, I'm Nigerian. This episode would be to enlighten you.
Let's talk about it, right? Because we will maybe come to this, but it can be like parenting, being a parent, being a child. It can be a taboo in a culture. We don't know from where you're watching us. Let us know. But the point is to speak it up loudly and show you how it is in Poland, how it is in Nigeria,
right.
And what we see in the cultures around, because we are like recording it in Warsaw, Poland. So we are also observing a lot of stuff around. So like it is in Warsaw, there are a lot of foreigners, right? And a lot of behaviors which could have emanated from how, we were being taught by our parents. So this is the main reason why we decided to bring up, a podcast like this. Yeah, because we think it's kind of fascinating. And today, our subject of this episode is parenting across cultures. And the point why we choose this subject for the first place is to like kind of discover from where we are coming from. Exactly. Right? Because everyone is having a parent, I think so, right? We are having some startups discovering the incubators, but still there is a parent, right? That's right. Exactly. So we will tell you kind of about our experiences, how we perceive parenthood in our cultures, and we will kind of discover the differences here. Exactly. And also, you can also share your experience with us right in the comment section. Yeah, you cannot. It doesn't have to be extremely personal. It's about like the culture, right? So, exactly. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. It's not like therapy, right? When you hear the word parenting, what comes to your mind? Problems. Whoa, how's that so? I wasn't expecting that response. But tell me, how is that so? I see problems. The thing is, like, when I think that when I hear parenting, it is associated kind of with problems. Of course, to me personally, I have different philosophy on looking at the parenthood, right? Because it's also a huge responsibility. It is adventure. It is something like taking the responsibility. A very huge responsibility. Yeah, and giving a small human being care. Okay. So there's also a lot of warmth, love, and those good things. But the first thing is problems, because like this is the small release, but in Polish culture, society, parenthood, it's maybe not that restricted like in Scandinavia, for example. Like in Sweden, you have a lot of legislational stuff where it's like really strict, like the whole regulation of being the parent, of providing to the child the good care, the quality of it, etc. But in Poland, I think because we have still like some articles about the responsibility of the parent for the child, what I see is that people are not seeing this warm thing about being a parent. They're seeing this responsibility that if the child will harm themselves, then that there is the responsibility, the problems, the worries, the money thing. I mean, a lot of complications in life, which is coming with. It's maybe pessimistic start of this podcast, but
I mean, your opinion is kind of strange, I would say. To be honest, when I think of parenting, I think of guidance. I think of
like
a protector.
Angel. The angel.
Yeah, of course, like an angel, right? Because to be a parent has to be over something, over a child, right? It might not be biological, right? Might be, adopted, kid and stuff like that. So you being a parent, you being a guardian, it's a huge responsibility. You always have to be responsible, for the people in care of you.
Yeah.
Like I said, doesn't necessarily have to be, your own biological kids. It can also be, adopted kids.
So is it the moment where you're telling me that parenthood is like kind of way of living or something you are choosing?
I think it's something you choose and something you have to do well. If you choose to do it, then you have to do it well.
You have to.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on this?
So,
think?
Yeah, you like parenting, it's not an easy job, right? It's not something easy.
Yeah, problems,
but
I told you.
Problems. Okay, maybe not really problems, right?
Of course,
but
I'm joking.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Very huge one, So if you decide to one day be a parent, right, like your mindset changes, right? Okay, fine. How can I be a good parent to these kids?
Yeah.
What can I do right? Of course, you cannot always get it right. Yes. What can I do right to make sure that these kids grow up in the right way? Mm-hmm. And this is why I would give an example. Like I would say a lot of bad kids, comes out from broken homes where there is no parenting. Either the father is missing or the mother is missing. Yeah. So to decide to want to be a parent, right? I know most people don't even think about parenting when they want to. They just want to have children.
Yeah, to show the love, to show like that I really love you, bro.
Exactly.
So I really need to have a child with you to show you that our relationship is on this amazing next level, right? Or like, children somehow I think sometimes become the way, I mean, the
outcome, the result.
The outcome, the result of how adult people want to treat themselves.
Exactly.
And it's like, sometimes I think that it can even be perceived as a gift to someone, like, she wants a child, so I need to give it to her or something. Or I'm, for example, like not fertile, so I cannot give you a kid. It's like a gift to birds. I mean, it's the biggest blessing you can have in a life.
Yeah.
To have the possibility, to have the chance to give another human being a space. This is also about what I think what the parenthood is, like giving the space to another human being to grow, to develop in their way.
In their own way.
Yes.
Under the right tutelage.
Exactly. And I think that we are not perceiving parenthood. I mean, in Poland, what I see, we are not perceiving parenthood in a way you presented, because it was brilliant, right?
For sure.
The way you presented parenthood a second ago. But I think that people are not perceiving it in this way. Like, it's the biggest blessing because you are able to develop yourself in this field of giving another human being space. It's like more materialistic way. Like I'm treating
like a gift.
Like gift for me, for another person. It's a sign of being a good citizen. I don't know, participating in a society, fulfilling social norms. And I'm not sure that people are thinking about parenthood itself, what it is, what I understand by being parenthood, right?
Yes.
A parent.
That's right. I wanted to say something on that. Most people, just want to, they never planned to be a parent.
Yeah.
And this is something I believe should be planned.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
before you have, children or kids with someone, you need to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
Not just on the perspective of, oh, you're my partner, we love each other, and then boom, kids in the picture.
And we know how they are coming together, right? Yeah.
Right.
So we know, guys. You guys know, we know. Like, everyone knows. And exactly, like, no, everyone is speaking. I mean, the intimate physical life is also taboo in some cultures.
That's right.
So this is also a problem in terms of being, like, in terms of parenthood, because if we are not talking with each other about the most intimate sphere of our lives and relationship, and we are not sharing the challenges in the physical sphere of our relationship, and then boom, and we are having third human being in this thing, in this relation, and we are still not talking. And this is like materialization of our physical life, saying it technically. And we are still not talking, and we don't know how this other person, how my partner,
what they think about,
being a parent, how they
imagine, can handle it.
Yes. And
so you can be a good parent, and your partner might not be a good one.
Exactly.
Right. And vice versa.
And what then? Right.
The kids always suffer for it.
Exactly.
Like on one of my private shows, right? I had someone come up to say, and this is a very good, like, I really learned this. This is a very good, a good take for me.
Yeah.
He said something about when he had his baby boy, right?
Yeah.
Growing up for the child, right? He would leave home, like when he's going to office, he makes sure he leaves home, and the kid sees he's always leaving home. So when the kids grow up, he knows, oh, dad is always leaving home, right? For what reason? But then the reality would hit him, like, okay, for a good purpose. He's going to probably a conference, he's going to the office, stuff like that. It teaches the child how to also be responsible. So what do you think about that?
If I'm understanding correctly, the guy is currently having the baby boy. Currently.
Yes.
And he's still, like, developing this model of teaching.
Exactly.
Okay, we need the evaluation of this, okay? Like, we need it. It's promised to us, okay? We need it. If you hear us, we need this evaluation, because it can be interesting. It can be interesting because from, like, all of those attachment theories between in the relation between the child, the newborn, literally, and the parent. It can be interesting to accommodate this small human being to the fact that you're leaving the space, but it doesn't mean that it's something bad, right? And it is somehow teaching the kid that it is also some kind of safety to be also alone at home. I mean, it can be interesting, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. That the fact that he is leaving home is something normal. And I'm curious, what was his point, his take on parental leave, at work?
At work.
Yeah.
So like when you don't have to go to, but like I said, this person is a very busy man. Okay. He has a church. Okay. He has to go to the church. He has some conferences, he has a meeting. So he's always very busy. Okay. But at the same time, he is like the favorite of this boy.
Okay. we need to investigate on this. Why? But
we can also bring him on this podcast
here
to share. Yes, to share his his experience when it comes to to parenting. I'm sure he's going to have something nice to tell us.
Yeah. We should do that in some episode. Let us know what you think about it. But somehow, what's your take on this? Like, this fact of this presence of the parent in a child's life, because some parents, for example, in Poland, it's not so common, but it is present here, that some parents are deciding to keep the child at home until the primary school. So until the kid is like 6-7 years old.
I mean, that's in Poland, yes?
Yes. Of course, we have like kindergarten and the daycare for the newborns. We have it, and you can do that. And the kindergarten is recommended to develop the social skills of the kid, etc. To not have like a huge boom at school, right? But some parents are deciding to keep the child at home to socialize it and give the space at home with grandma, with mom.
I noticed that's a thing here in Poland.
Yes. And they are like giving the kid, I mean, they have to, because the kid has the obligation to go to the school, right? So they have to, to allow kids to go to the school, right? So we have situations like this, that after 6 years of being at home with your own safe world, you are like,
connecting with your parents.
Yes, without this huge group of kids in the kindergarten, which is so divergent, so different. So also in terms of meeting different kids with different parents who are having different style of parenthood, for example, right? And being like without this main parent the whole day, then you are going to the school, meeting bigger group than in kindergarten, and then you have to survive like in a jungle, right? What do you think about it?
So for me, like, I really think it's very important for every parent to be in their children's life.
Of course.
You know, that's very important.
Should be.
You know, that word should be, you know, and must be, right? Because
the bolded one. The bolded one.
Because these kids, while growing up, you know, they need it.
Yeah.
Trust me, the first 3 or 4 years of a child's life, it's very important.
Exactly.
Very important. And like you said, how it's done in Poland, you know, where a kid, you know, is at home, you know, getting some trainings from home until the age of 6, 7, it's totally different from where I'm from.
Yeah. But I have to side note here. It's like, it's for sure the minority of children. Because so
you mean here in Poland?
Yes. This way of keeping kids at home, because mostly the kid is going to the kindergarten because parents are having work like the 8-6, 9-5 work, and they have to use the kindergarten, right? So mostly we are using kindergartens in Poland, but still we have this style of parenthood where you're like keeping. I mean, it's still not the majority, but still we have some ideas like this in Poland.
So in Nigeria, like mostly when it comes to parenting, right, especially a toddler, yes, the father is the one doing most of the work, right, like to provide for the family. Yes. So the woman has less to do, you know, when it comes to working and stuff like that. She can decide to work, but we believe their priority is the child.
Okay.
Right. It's the child. So as a father, I can decide, okay, my wife, you're not going to work. Right. And then just be responsible for these kids.
Yeah.
Right. So when they're growing up to know something, not from strangers. But if they're not getting to learn much from the father because he's out, you know, to the office or something, they're picking from the mother. Yeah. And this is also why it's it can be very chaotic at times during breakups, because it is what the mom instills in the children that grows with them.
Yeah.
If she tells them something bad about the father, then the children believes that. Yeah. Because she's the one spending most of the time with them, you know. Yeah. And of course, the father is the sacrificial, you know, lamb. He's the one they need to sacrifice.
Best regards.
So we believe, like, okay, if the child is going to school, because in Nigeria, children start school very early.
How early?
From 2. From 2, you need to start going to like crèche, where they teach them stuff. It's not like you're just going there to relax, to sleep, to play. You know, you play, but they teach you stuff, little stuffs. And from there, this is how you start, you know, then to nursery 1, then to nursery 2, you know. But at the age of 3, a child should be in nursery 1.
But should be? Is it obligatory or not?
Not obligatory, but this is the system. This is how it works.
Okay.
You know, this is culture, right? These are unwritten laws, yes, but it's a cultural thing.
Okay.
So from 3, the child is in nursery 1, 4, nursery 2, primary 1, and they keep growing, right, that way. But we are not taking the kids, except the busy parents, that the mother is so busy, the father is so busy, right? Then they can drop the kids off at the, the kindergarten, right? Like, okay, just stay there. When I'm done with work, I'll come pick you up. Yeah. But they don't know these children are learning more from the people who are training them than the parents.
Yeah. So, but do you know people from your culture who are keeping children like at home, or everyone? It's like, I know it's unwritten, but do you know people who are keeping children at home?
I know people who are keeping children at home.
Okay.
But these are the people who cannot afford the education.
Okay.
So like, in this way. So like, why would I take my child to a place where, they're probably not going to teach them anything? Like, this is their own way of thinking. And trust me, this period of a child's life, this is when you even pay more.
Yeah. Okay.
This is when you pay more for the care and everything, because it's so difficult to take care of, of kids.
Oh, wow.
So they can't afford it. And even some that can afford it feels like, okay, instead of wasting, they see it as a waste of money, right? So the wife can stay at home and take care of the children. When the father comes, they can actually, he can help the best way he could. So this is how it's been done across my own culture, like in my own culture.
Okay. In Poland, I would say that keeping a child at home is a luxury. Then you're like providing at home the kindergarten things, but at home, and it is treated and perceived as the luxury of keeping kid at home. And the kindergarten, of course, sometimes we have like paid kindergartens, but
if that would be like in English or something,
like a special or private one, when because we have like some like the common ones and the private ones.
Okay.
But still, keeping kid at home, I think it's perceived as the luxury, because then you can afford also yourself being at home. And in Poland, now after the pandemic, it's more common, right, to stay at home and work remotely. But it's still perceived as the luxury that you have work in which you can also take care of a kid at home for a few years, right? So it's still like keeping kid at home, it's luxury.
So do you think Polish parents, are always available? Like maybe they can be available to their children, right?
Yeah.
But do you think when it comes to their presence, when it comes to emotional well-being, do you think Polish parents are always there for their children?
No.
Really?
It wasn't even a second of thinking. I'm sorry.
What?
It wasn't even, I'm sorry, guys, but nah.
So expansion, tell us about that.
Completely not. We are completely not educated emotionally to be in this way available for a kid. We are not available emotionally for like people we are in a relationships with. So it is hard to be emotionally available for your husband or wife. It is hard to be emotionally available, like just existing in the society. And I don't think we are able to be like in this way present. Of course, there is some amazing parents. They are there, but still, it's not the majority, right?
So you think the parents actually they focus more on their partner or professional, career over the kids?
Yeah, both. I think both. I think both. I'm afraid to say that the pyramid here is like the priorities are like the career, the partner, and then the kid.
Wow.
Sometimes the partner and the kid are like changing the priorities. Like for women, it's like the child and then the partner. It's common. But still, I think that we are completely. I mean, I have to say this. I heard like 2 weeks ago. I was talking with with mom of her like 5 years old kid, Polish one, and she is working with the language with kids.
Okay.
Like she's helping the therapist for language kind of thing.
Okay.
And
in what language?
Polish.
Okay.
Yes, and she told me that she's like meeting kids on this therapy to conversate with them because they are lacking the conversation. That when she is like having lessons as a teacher in the primary school, the 7 years old, they are not able like to conversate properly because at home they are not talking with parents. Because there is silence. Yeah, because there is silence because they are giving them a tablet or they are giving them like videos or they are sitting and working or they are in their phones. So we are lacking the conversation. It's not even about emotional availability. It's about the conversation with a kid.
You have to be physically present to have a conversation with your child.
But I'm also like talking about this serious conversation when you see another person, right? Because I think when we are talking, that's what I see in the society, is that when we are talking with a kid, we are still treating them, even if we are their parent, like we are above them. Like we are not on their level of conversation. So even if the kiddo is telling you the most exciting thing of their life, the most important one at this moment about like a problem or something or the achievement, you're like, okay, cool. And what you're doing if your friend, same age as you, is coming to you and telling you about the same thing. You would be excited. Or you would be at least...
You want to talk about it, you want to share your own experience or thought.
You would at least want to listen about it. With a kid, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I'm not sure.
You know, in Nigeria, for example, there are some sensitive topics that parents try to avoid when it comes to,
kids.
Parents.
Elaborate. Spill the tea.
I would say African parents are or Nigerian parents now, they're very shy. They're very shy.
But with kids or in general?
With kids.
With their own kids?
With kids, yes.
I mean, bro, you are like giving the birth to the kid and you're shy.
Imagine a kid coming to tell the parent, for example, like, oh, I have a best friend in school. Oh, like I'm talking about a child of between, let's say, 4 and 8, for example. Like, oh, I have a friend in school, always talking about a boy, in school, like, oh, he sat beside me today. African parents don't want to hear that. So don't get close to this baby. Don't get close to this boy. This is what they're going to tell you. Right? This is what they're going to tell you.
But
that's not the way to go. This is what I think. That's not the way to go, Educate them. Talk to them. Make them your friend.
Yeah.
If you do this, this is the consequence. If you do this, this is the consequence. Oh, you know what I think about what you just said? You have a conversation with them. I can tell you, like, in Nigeria, many years ago, many years ago,
yes,
it's a thing whereby a parent raising a child,
yes,
I can say it's still kind of, still a bit in the system, right? But many years ago, African or Nigerian parents are talking to the child like a baby, like someone who doesn't understand anything. Like, like you're just making some kind of, come, and come. You don't speak to them normally.
Yeah, and then you're surprised the kid is saying like in the same way. Right?
Exactly. And they grow up this way.
Yeah.
They grow up this way. So, but you talk, this is one thing. This is one thing I learned in Poland, right? Adults have conversations with kids, like they are grown up. Like you see a 1-year-old boy going somewhere, you be like, no, come here. Let's go this way. You talk to them.
So we are not babying our kids here in Poland comparing to Nigeria?
I think not really.
No, I think we're doing it so much. Oh I think not God. Really.
But like we treat them like as a baby. We feel, oh, they can't understand anything now. we feel they can't hear us.
Okay, but what if they are 15?
So what if they are 15? Then we completely ignore them. You don't want to talk to them about sex. You don't want to talk to them about having a boyfriend.
Yeah.
These are things they should know. Imagine a 15-year-old child coming and in Nigeria, they don't have confidence to tell their parents about their boyfriend. No. I can tell you categorically 95% of African child in that age bracket would not go to their father, oh, I have a boyfriend now.
So they're completely
or their mother,
not having a clue.
No, they're not. So then when the parent finds out, they become so aggressive. Yes, African parents can be like that. They become so aggressive, like, no, don't have a boyfriend now. Like, who are you to have it? They will definitely scold the child, which is very wrong. This is where the conversation comes in, right? Okay, you have a boyfriend now. Can you bring this boy home? Let's know him. We
need to know that they exist, right?
Exactly. This and this is what you should do and what you should not do. These are the consequences when you do this. These are the consequences when you don't do this.
Yeah.
You have like a conversation with them. They feel comfortable to come tell you, if they're having any issues. Like, my mom is my best friend. She's definitely going to, advise me on this. Yeah. They come, they talk to their, I think here in Poland, kids do that more than, back in Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, parents know that the kids are having the relations if they are the serious ones, right?
Serious It starts from somewhere, yes.
Yes. But I have another question here, and then I will be back to this one. Do you think that people perceive parenthood as the story about themselves?
Stories about themselves? I would say
this is like about themselves.
I would say not really. I would say not really, because parenting is not a title. This is not what you carry everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't write it on your CV, parent.
Some people actually, if you look at this another like professional blue platform, right? You can see that people are writing it. Like, happy mom, I'm a happy mom of 2, or I'm a happy dad of 3. I mean, bro, I'm so proud that you're proud of it, right? But it is about them somehow. For some girls, it's like a goal to have 5 kids.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I need to have like. Oh,
but not in Poland for sure.
I mean, I know some of them, and
really?
In Poland, Polish girls. Hashtag Polish girl, and somehow another question maybe here. What do you think about this conversations couples are having when they are talking about parenthood? That the most touched subject is, okay, boy or girl? Like, you have a choice here?
That's right.
Like, bro, it's like...
That's right. You want a boy, you want a girl,
That's the only conversation you have about parenthood with your partner. It's like, oh, I need 2 girls and 1 boy. It's
Trust me, they're not even thinking about the parenthood at that time.
Of course.
They're thinking about their preferences.
Yeah,
what
the name
I want,
is already
what
there.
You want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I believe, parents should talk more about what they want for their children, right? So, like in Nigeria, it's another thing that a parent would tell a child, this is what I want you to be. This is what I want you to be. Then it used to be like a big thing. Now it's kind of, parents still do that, but I think it's kind of a bit getting better.
Yeah.
But then they'd be like my dad always wanted me to be an engineer,
Are you?
Because he saw the technical part in me.
Okay.
He saw it, And for me, it wasn't like, because I would really say I appreciate how my dad really taught me.
Yeah.
He was very hard on me, but that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot, So I would say he didn't tell me that you have to be an engineer. But everything he does for me
is for engineering.
Is for engineering, right? You have to know about this. You have to know about this. You should do this. You should do this. And everything I was doing, I was having fun with it. Yeah. It's at that time it could be very difficult, but now I knew that shaped me.
Okay.
That shaped me. And because of that, every morning he would come like, go help me wash this car, help me change these tires, as a kid. Help me change these tires, do this, do this, do this. He always wants me to wake up at 6. He's
Not
always...
Not 5?
Not 5.
You're
He's
not
always...
5 a.m. person, I'm sorry.
Of course I'm not. He's always on time.
Yes.
He's always on time. And this is one thing I still think I'm still, lagging when it comes to timing. So that taught me like, okay, I had a thing for technical stuffs. I was good technically. He saw that. He sent me to some conferences to learn, how to build a solar panel, stuff like this. Yeah. To the extent I decided like, okay, I want to go for engineering. But this time around, not electrical, but mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I was used to cars.
Yeah.
Then my dad had 2 cars and my mom had 1. So
a lot of cars for 1 kid.
Because I am the only son out of 3.
I'm the only daughter.
3 out of 4 children. So out of 4 children, so I have 3 siblings, which are female, and I'm the only boy. So anything happens, like, okay, go bring this.
Roasted.
So even if he's doing the changing of the tires himself or he's changing the oil himself, I'm always there to see.
Yeah.
Right. And always when someone comes to fix something, he asks me to go there and see.
Yeah.
So I'm always there. So this was how he taught me. But then there are some parents, they tell you, most parents tells their kids, they want you to become a medical doctor.
Yeah, that's like the destiny of each kid. How does it come, right? Like, how it is possible that we have a lot of professions and all the parents, they want kids to be doctors.
But still, we have very few doctors all over the world. So what's going on?
Exactly. Like, the persuasiveness is not that good, right? But I have to say that, for example, on my path, I was kind of lacking this part of thought of my parents. Like,
tell us about your
I'm going to you can see I'm preparing. Like
I can see being the only child, right?
No, I have 2 siblings.
2 siblings, okay.
Male ones.
Male to male.
Yeah,
okay.
so I have 3, have 4.
The only baby girl.
Exactly. The first one on the mother's side, so like the girl, right? The pink, the pink baby shower, etc.
Okay.
I mean, at that time, there wasn't like a baby shower in Poland. We didn't have, and we still don't have kind of the baby showers. I mean, we know, but it's like the thing, we are not doing that often, the baby shower thing. But never mind. On my path, I mostly, even if I was coming to home like with a boyfriend or with a new idea.
At what age are we talking about now?
Let's say like teenager, even young teenager or old teenager, all the time, even now, when I'm coming with a guy to home, and I'm like, of course, like having a lunch with my parents and with this.
You can't do that
guy. We we can do that. We even should do that. It's just like a first thing you're doing, right? Like the dinner with parents, it's a serious thing. You are doing it if you are treating someone seriously. And even if I was having this dinner with this guy and my parents, they were not so into him. I mean, I was into, but they were not.
They were not, okay.
And after the dinners, every time, no matter if I was like 14, 15, 17, 18, 23, I was always like asking, and what do you think about him, like as a person, right? Like honest opinion. Don't tell me if I should marry him, of course, but like, what do you think? Is he cool, or I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, it's also okay
blinded.
to ask.
Exactly. Am I blinded or something? And I never received an answer.
Really?
Never. It was like, oh, cool. He's cool.
But do you think he's cool? It's like a no?
No. It's like, I'm accepting whatever you are doing, kind of thing. Also with my professional life, it was like, Mom, I can do math, I can do language stuff, I can do humanistics, I can paint a painting, I can even like, I don't know, do a lot. And I was looking for my thing, right? Because I was able to do a lot of really different stuff, and the spectrum was huge, so wide, and I was asking mom, like, what do you think about it? And I was looking for this opinion or valuation of what I'm doing or what I'm choosing or what's my way of thinking. And I never received like that opinion or something or recommendation. I always received you do you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was, and yeah, and now I also see how it shaped me, because I'm like accountable on all of my decisions, right? Like moving on, choosing the path, choosing the studies. It was never my parents' thing to even like suggest something on my path. But when I was like 15, 16, I was lacking this support in decision making, because I needed someone to discuss this. And I didn't have it.
But prior to that time, what was your relationship with your parents?
It was, it was cool. But in Poland, we have this thing that it is so common that my generation, I'm like older Gen Z, older Gen Z, the first ones, 1.0. We are not having that warm relations with our dads. I don't know, so many people who I know, like almost all of them, maybe I know five.
Wow.
Five.
I think a lot of people, most of the people that I know, Polish people, I think they are similar.
Yeah, like
they never have like a strong relationship with their dad.
Never. I mean, it was a success if he was present. That, but I know a lot of cases where the dad is even living at the same home as you do, and is completely absent, and it is so common in Poland. But it is also now with this we are coming to the like male, emotional stuff, that boys can cry, etc. This strong masculinity thing.
But in Nigeria, we are told boys you don't cry.
Okay, but what's your relationship with dads?
My relationship with my dad was a very, I would say it was very nice and also very difficult.
Okay.
Because like I said, my dad, he was a disciplinarian. Now he's late,
Yeah.
He was a disciplinarian.
Okay.
He was a scholar.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to be like that. Boom. Yes, he wanted me to be like that. But I can tell you, I am the opposite. I am the opposite. So this is where we clash often.
Okay.
He wanted me to do this, he wanted me to do this. But for me, now I see the effect, because he wanted the best for me.
Yeah.
But I think the way he went about it, I thought he was kind of, maltreating me.
Yeah.
Out of 4 kids,
yeah.
I was the only one. He would come to wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock. He wouldn't call my name. He would come to me and tap me.
Yeah.
For me, it was kind of difficult like that, Many things he wanted me to do, that I didn't see the benefit at that time.
Yeah.
Because I thought, he doesn't like me. He was just, doing this. Yeah. At times I would be on the couch with my sister watching movies. He would come and ask me to get up, not my sister.
But do you think life would be different if dad, for example, talk with, if parents in general would talk with children about the future? Like, not like, bro, I have planned for you, but about important. The consequences. Like, because kids, from their biological point of view, they are not having to some point in life, they're not having this prospective ability of thinking, right? So you're like, now it's now like Buddhas, right? We have like toddlers, Buddhas, etc. And what if someone would tell the kid, like, bro, I believe that it's not comfortable for you now, but I believe that it is good for you, basing on my knowledge, basing on the situation, basing on what I see in you, right? Maybe if someone,
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Come on, that's how it should be.
We would explain like, bro, I really love you as a parent, and I really respect you as a parent, and I really want the best for you, not because I want to prove that I'm the best parent of the year, but because I want to give you the best. And there is semantics for first of all, but there is a slight difference, don't you think, that there is a difference between being the best parent?
Obviously. But do you think, for me, I don't think people, especially parents, walk towards that direction. Like, who gives the award for best parent?
Yeah.
So within you, you should know if you're doing the right thing or not.
But what if social media are giving some kind of best award of like mom of three kind of thing, right?
Then you can walk towards it.
Yeah. And you are having like this, I don't know, Forbes 25 moms under 25. I do not recommend it, right? But you are having this list of the best moms. You are the best parents, but are you giving the best in terms of quality? Because maybe you think that you are the best parent, that you are the most on time, the best in terms of the wealth, the social economic status, the quality of home in terms of like materialistic physical stuff, like the rooms, etc., extra classes of, I don't know, the tennis, blah, blah, blah. But is the quality of what you are giving in a substance really the best of really what you can give?
But
right?
At times parents also pretend.
Yeah.
Right. If they are home with the kids, then the kids can tell their own part, right?
Yeah.
But it's easy when you go to your friend's place, for example, and you see how the parents are treating the kids, and you feel like, oh, this is very good.
Yeah.
It might not be the same when you leave.
Exactly. Exactly.
To be honest, right? Every Nigerian kid fears their dad the most. They fear their dad the most. Yes. So
why?
Is that because African dad are more strict than their mom?
Okay.
Okay. The men are more strict than the women.
Yeah.
Right. In some instances, it's kind of it's the other way around.
Yeah.
But in most cases, like for me growing up, when I hear the horn of my dad from afar coming back from the office, I would run back inside to pretend like I was sleeping.
I see.
Yeah. So, but is that something synonymous with Polish kids?
It's like, with mother.
With mother.
It's the other mother is the strict one, mostly. When you're going to the dad has no clue what you're doing in your daily life. But I'm talking here about like older Gen Z, right? Because I know a lot. There is a strong movement, the strong flow and trend of dads, fathers who are really involved, who really know what's going on. So it is, I don't want to be offensive to this like new generation of dads, but I don't know them. I didn't experience this kind of dad. I experienced the generation of fathers in Poland who didn't have a clue about the life of the kid. The clue. Yeah, they weren't present. So emotionally and like intellectually, right? Yeah. So, but physically, yes. So the mother is the strict one. The mother is like having a lot of stuff in her head, and she's always making all the logistics, blah, 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 blah. But when, for example, mom says no, you are going to the dad. So there is no fear.
Like, okay.
Yeah, and dad is like, okay, go.
For us, it's the other way around.
Yeah. So this is like I would say the opposite, right? Like you're mostly thinking about the mom. Mom is kind of ruling the thing, how to raise the kid. Also, when you're having like the divorced parents, right? Mostly there is a tendency that also the courts are saying the mom knows more. because the dad is no like that present, that informed, that I don't know, sensitive to the kid. And it's not only about the motherhood, because this is interesting because is there a difference between being a father and a mother?
I was going to ask you this question.
Yeah. Like, what do you think? I was first here.
Like for me, I think it should be, it should be balanced, right?
In which way?
Parenting. We're talking about parenting. It has to be. We're not talking about fatherhood or motherhood.
Exactly.
We're talking about parenting. This is cohabitating, parenting.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Side note: did you guys know? Because in Poland, in the document of being born, right, like this birth certificate, we are having 2 columns because we have 2 parents, right? Okay. And there is a mother and a father.
We have 1 parent, father and mother.
and like, I mean, each column for each parent, right? Like there is a mother and there is a father column. In UK, you have parent 1, parent 2, which is also giving interesting message, right? Also like to the same-sex couples raising the kid, because this is also some kind of parenthood in some cultures. In Poland, not yet, right? But there is something. And we have still motherhood, fatherhood, also in the birth certificates. That there is something... There is culturally the difference in Poland, but okay, let's go back to you. I'm sorry, because you said it should be balanced.
It should be balanced, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe it can't be father, except if the parents are not together, right? Then you can regard them as, okay, your father, like your mother, and stuff like that. So going back to what you said, I feel like the parents 1, parents 2, because in our own side, this is how it's been done. They write the parents, your parents' name, or guardian's name.
Nah.
So if these are your biological parents, then you put your parents' name. They ask for your father's last name and your mother's last name.
Yeah.
Right. But if they are not your biological, then that is where the guardian comes in.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's also the reason behind the parents 1, parents 2 thingy you said.
Yeah.
But I believe it should be, parenting should be equal, right? Should be togetherness, not just father and mother.
What about these female tasks like breeding or like...
Female task like what?
Like feeding the kid or like...
To be honest, I think this is why I said they need to learn to cohabit. Yeah. Right? If generally we know common sense, the mother does better, when it has to do with, like feeding the child,
but why
and stuff
they are
like
doing
that.
It better?
They do better than men. Okay, let me tell you, for example, in Nigeria, the medical institutions, right, they prioritize, like they want parents to prioritize, especially for the first 6 months or 1 year of a child's life, breastfeeding exclusively.
Yes.
A man can't breastfeed. I won't take the baby to the mother's breast, like, okay, suck the breast. The mother has to do it.
Where is the equality, right?
So subconsciously, the mother knows how to feed a child more than a man.
Yes.
But when it has to be with, fixing stuffs in the house, fixing the child to their racks, and stuff like that. The dad, it's easy for him to couple that, Anything that has to do with strength, physically, the father can always come in. Yeah. Right. When it has to do with the soft side, then I think the mother does better. This is also why when you say during divorce and court case, whatever, this is why they usually, most times, they give the child to the mother. Because they know the mother can do better. The dad, okay, like for us, the dad is only, like mostly provides for the family and does the hard job. Right.
But don't you think that fathers somehow should learn how to be soft?
That would be some weakness, I would say.
Weakness? Oh my God.
I told you, like culturally, we were taught not to cry. We were taught to always be strong.
Okay, but do fathers in Nigeria telling their kids that they are loving them?
Of course.
Because somehow I feel Because in Poland, of course, it would also be perceived from
we tell the kids more than the women.
Oh, this is interesting.
We tell the kids we love them more than the women.
So, okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting because I think that in Poland, because I don't feel like my generation had emotional connection with that.
I think your generation is just so different.
Yeah, probably so it is. But also, you know, like hearing from the dad that he loves a kid, it's not something usual for emotionally unavailable men.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Like how you can be emotionally unavailable and being able to show your soft side just by saying that you love the kid often. Because of course,
for the kids, this is very important.
Of course it is. And you know, somehow you see this paradox that the kid has no doubt that the mother loves them. But with the dad, never heard.
They never heard it.
Never heard it.
Like in Poland, you know, I always hear this a lot from my friends, you know. They be like, their dad is always, most times they talk about their mom. But when they want to talk about their dad, they be like, oh, he was an alcoholic. Oh, he was this, that.
Yeah, thankfully he was not drinking, for example, like that. That's the argument. Thankfully he was not an alcoholic, or he was an alcoholic, right? So he was drinking or he was not, and if he was not, then it's a success, family success. Yes. This is a good family, right?
Even without telling them he loves them.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. And I think we have a lot of insanities in the cultures and in parenthood. And we are almost like 1 hour talking still.
Yes.
And I don't feel I even like revealed a quarter of the cultural paradoxes of parenthood in Poland. What do you think about Nigeria?
To be honest, it's not something that will change overnight.
Yeah.
You know, we need to, this is why we need to educate, right, the kids, the younger ones, right, so they don't be like, or they be like the better version of their parents.
You guys.
When you say you guys, who do you mean?
We are doing it for you. Can you imagine that? Like, we are sitting here. So
now, having said all of this, what do you think is the way out, like, for better parenting? What do you think, you know, would be the way out for the kids not to have the experience that we had, you know, for them to have a better experience, you know, and be a better parent to their own kids? Well, for our own parents, we can't change almost anything.
That people thinking about being a parent should more focus on being a good person.
So they should not just have sex anyhow. Think about the outcome.
Like materialization of your physical life is like, you don't need to materialize it. You know, like a kid cannot be only the materialization of your physical life. It should be also the outcome of the moment in your life when you're coming to the conclusion, like, I've learned enough in my own one person life, I can make this self-love thing. Then you are learning love with another person, and now you know that you can make a serious relationship and you can give another person, the only one person, your romantic love. And then when you're developing with this person cooperation and love, then you are emotionally ready for giving space to another human being.
But that should also be addressed before they go into it.
Yes. And the point is, I think that people wanting to be parents, they should focus firstly on empowering and strengthening, that was a weird pronunciation, themselves. Like, you need to be a strong human being emotionally. Go to the psychologist, bro, like, talk to yourself, develop mentally, develop physically. Also, you need to be strong physically to have like the healthier pregnancy, right? The whole thing that you should focus on being a good, in terms of quality, human being. And if you are a good human being, really full of empathy and all those things, and you are ready to give space to someone else, then you are ready to be parent. And I think parenthood would be amazing if the person wanting to be a parent would go to the psychologist for once.
For once, right? But for us in Nigeria, psychology is not a thing.
So just think about it. Think about your inner world, right?
Yeah.
Like, just
I would say communication,
also
always talk about it. Your plans, before you have the child, your plans for the child, see if you really align with your partner, on the same goal.
Yeah.
Because at times it can be disastrous. If, for example, you want, this plan for the child, right? This is how you think of parenting.
Yeah.
But your partner doesn't have the same, idea of parenting, of raising a child, then trust me, there is going to be a clash always. And then you have it like when the dad tells the boy or the girl something, the mom be like, no, that's not how it should go. Even the child will be confused.
Exactly.
They don't know what to do, and
Exactly.
So it's always good to have the communication, right? So I think that's a priority.
Yeah, someone can be amazing lover, but terrible co-parent, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point. And
before we close this episode, right? I would like to ask you this question, right? So, what do you think about people, especially the youngins now, the Gen Zs, who are not thinking of, being a parent? Like, they are not planning to, they're not even thinking of getting married. Even if they want to eventually think of getting married, they'd be like, they don't want kids.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's saying a lot about our perception as a society about parenthood. Because if we would perceive parenthood as the guidance, as the supporting a small human being in growing up, then maybe more young people would be thinking about maybe I can guide some small human being
as well.
Maybe if we would change the perception of parenthood, maybe more like the parent is someone more like a guide or the mentor in life, right?
Right.
Then maybe more and more young people would feel the vibe, right? Because we are having, I think that if we would tell them, bro, I'm growing here a lot, but I'm sorry guys, but like, do you want to be a mentor for a small human being and be responsible for this human being?
I don't think most of the Gen Zs are ready for that.
Maybe not. But
in this part of the world, actually. But in Nigeria, I can tell you everybody.
But imagine, what if they would start thinking that the goal is not to be this mystical parent, but is to be a mentor, a guide for a small human being. And I'm not saying here that we should destroy the institution of being a parent, right? But I'm saying about changing the perception of who parent is, because for this generation, parent is someone who is emotionally unavailable, always overworked, and always screaming and being stressed.
That's why you see it as a disaster.
Yeah, the problems, etc. Right? Like, I don't want those problems.
In conclusion, we should both agree that these kids who are kind of running away from that responsibility, we are running away from the way they were brought up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I'm not surprised that they don't want it. I'm not surprised that they want to harm another human being in a way they was harmed.
Yeah.
And I'm completely not surprised.
Okay.
Who would?
No, but of course, come on.
No one wants to do that, right? That's why they're not planning.
So your advice for every parent out there?
My advice?
Yes.
That it's not about you. Parenthood is not about you. And that's the most important thing to me. That this is not your story. I mean, of course, you are having the benefits from it, like internally you are developing during being a parent. But parenthood is focused on the small human being.
Yeah, but without a small human being anyways, there wouldn't be parents. You can't give that title parenting when you don't have something you're parenting about.
But don't focus on what parent, on how, or like how you are doing as a parent. Don't ask this question in this way. It's not like, how good parent am I? It's not this question. The question is about the same thing, but in a different way. Ask yourself what your child is feeling. Does your kid feel well? That's the point. That's the weight you should. That's the thing you should focus in parenthood. How your kid feels, and then you will tailor your actions as a parent to make them feel good, to bring the quality, to provide it. When you're focusing, if you're a good parent, you will never be a good parent because it's not an award, as we said here, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about being like focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
No,
it has to be on the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, someone can say, we will record a podcast about an episode about it. But what about the self-care? If the mother is not happy, the child would not be happy. That is a good theme for the next episode, by the way. But
that's right.
That's something
we'll talk
different.
about that.
But that's something different, right?
That's something different.
If you want to be a good parent, ask yourself about the kids, not about yourself.
Yeah.
It's not about you. That's my advice. What's your advice?
Awesome. So my own advice would be for the parents to be readily available, in the kid's life, mentally, psychologically, physically, right? Because they not having this presence is taken away from them. It's taking away a lot from them, right? The way they see you treat them is the way they want to treat their own children. As a result, they want, I have this friend. She once told me that she never wanted to have a child. She wasn't thinking about having her own family.
And then what? Boom?
And then all of a sudden, I think she lost her father, right? And after she lost her father, she saw how the family came together, to give him a burial and stuff. And then she told me she started thinking about it. So you need something to convince you, not just by the word of mouth, right? So if you're parenting your kids properly, they would want to grow up to pass on that, experience to younger ones.
Yeah.
They see how you treat them with love, with care. They want to also, it can be very cute, like you said.
Yeah.
And then they want to pass this on to the next generation, because for me, I always tell people, like, if your parent thought like this, then you wouldn't even be here in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't even be here. I understand they are trying to fix the wrongs, and not want to be unavailable for the kids. Yeah. They don't want to be, they're not ready for those responsibilities that comes with parenting. So my advice would always be, love your kids, show them love, show them appreciation, always be present in their life because it goes a long way.
Yeah. So I think that we
can close this episode.
Do you think so? You guys think so? Yeah. I think so. We can close this episode, and that's the moment I think that our listeners and we see more questions than we had at the very beginning.
Yes.
Of thinking of what we will do today. So the only thing we can say is just see you guys in the next episodes, right? Yeah,
right. And if you have anything to tell us, guys, please feel free, put it in the comment section. If you have any experience, to share, if you have any, any advice you want to give, right, based on your experience or what have you, please put it in the comment section. Yeah. We'll see you in the next episode, guys.
Yeah. See you.
See you. Bye.